doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Good. Hello to you joining us for episode 24, The Measure of Marketing, all about using LinkedIn like a human with our guest, Phil Shorland. Hello, Phil. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. This is going to be a good episode. I can feel it already. Me and Hayley have got a bunch of LinkedIn. We're obsessed with LinkedIn. Kind of not, but are. And I feel like you're going to really bring us out of some of our thoughts and our feelings around the platform today.
It's going to be emotional.
It might be emotional. Might be a shocker. So Phil, tell us and tell the audience what you do. Like, what is your day job?
Sure. So currently I am LinkedIn ghostwriter. I'll talk more about how that's come to pass, but LinkedIn ghostwriter and also content coach. So I'm writing posts for people, small businesses, but at the same time, I found this need for people that want to be coached to be better writers, to be better content creators, or just to get their plans out there. So that's become a big part of what I do now. So those two things are pretty fundamental to my offer now.
Okay. And so we met about a year ago now, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I'm sure, was it then when you was focused on Instagram and then you've transitioned over to LinkedIn and really built up your profile from there? Got some good like rankings on certain websites we was chatting about the other day as well.
Yeah. Favicon tells me that I'm doing really well in the UK. I've never heard of Favicon before. I love it now. It's the best. Big shout out to Favicon today. But yeah, when we first met, it would have been back end of last summer, I think, and the whole thing started for me on Instagram for reasons that I'm still not really sure of to this day. I've never been Mr. Social Media. It was never my thing. And I got into blog writing initially, but that was because of a lot of YouTube watching, a lot of copywriters talking about what they can do with the words. And that really excited me because at that point in my life, I'd never used my words to make money. Like I'd never written for people's businesses. So we're talking a few years back now, and really inspired by people on YouTube, and that led me to Instagram. And then I was looking at people who were producing carousels, and they were doing storytelling through the carousels. It wasn't very common, and I thought I could do that, and I would really enjoy doing that. And so it didn't take long before I'd set up my profile, and maybe sort of 4 or 5 months down the line, people started saying, "Would you do my Instagram like captions for me?" It started with, and then I got, I'm okay on Canva. I'm no pro, but I'm efficient enough. And people said, "Would you mind doing the designs for me as well?" So from blog writing to Instagram, it kind of pivoted quite naturally. And I was there for a long time. I was there writing blogs for a long time for people, bulk packages. I really enjoyed it. And those people would then ask me to also do their repurpose to do their Instagram content for them. So it all just made sense. And so I felt this like slight transition at the time from being like generic copywriter to actually, that classic niche conversation. I felt like it was kind of finding me just naturally through conversations with people, doing a bit of work for people, and putting my own content out there. And then, yeah, at some point, I had a few chats about people that love LinkedIn. So they love LinkedIn and they hated Instagram. And they're like, "Phil, what are you doing over there? Nobody's even reading your words. Like, you've got good words. Get yourself over to LinkedIn." And so I did, right? I went over and I looked around and I tried to find my place. And I found loads of freelancing people and freelancing communities over there. But every time I went on, I just kept seeing the same voices pop up again and again. And I thought, I don't really get it. I don't see where the place is for me here. Um, and so I was there probably, I don't know, a month. I put a few posts out there. When I look at them now, I still put them out there sometimes just to show people that this is how it begins, right? They're awful. Like the words are still, decent enough, but just the layout, the structure, the paragraphs, like it's cringeworthy to think that I was doing that, and it doesn't even make sense looking back. So I quit. I didn't like it. I didn't get likes. I didn't get comments. It was lonely. It was the loneliest social media I've ever experienced. And I was like, this is horrible. Why would anybody do this? So shut it down, back over to Instagram. And then, yeah, do you know what? Probably 3 or 4 months later, I couldn't let it go. Like I'm quite obsessive with things. So it was in my head all the time, like, I need to learn. Like, why couldn't I do it? I don't get it. So I spoke to people. And I needed a plan, basically. We can dig into it in a bit more depth later, but I needed a plan. I needed a posting plan for me. I needed to not just repurpose things and just chuck them over from Instagram to LinkedIn. Um, and so a few months later, I got myself over there. I did it properly. And yeah, if anything now, like I hardly go on Instagram now. Like my social media, my content is predominantly LinkedIn. My services have now completely niched to LinkedIn. So, like I said earlier, I'm writing content for people on LinkedIn, and then I'm also coaching people how to be better on LinkedIn. So, yeah, it's been crazy and a lot of pivoting. And yeah, I'm here to promote the pivot today. Nothing wrong with it.
So what did that first LinkedIn post look like? 'Cause now I want to go find it. Like when you say like paragraphs and I will. When you say like paragraphs and things, like what did it look like then to like what does it look like now over on LinkedIn for you?
Yeah, good question, right? So it was just a obviously I knew how to use paragraphs, right? But it was probably three chunky paragraphs.
Okay.
Now, like quick disclaimer, like from the off here with LinkedIn rules and regulations. I'm not someone that says or even sells or offers the perfect template for any post, right?
Yeah.
But I do believe, and I didn't know this until about, I don't know, 4 months of being on LinkedIn. I didn't know just the basics. Like if I put approximately two sentences on there with a little bit of ellipsis, a little dot dot dot, that's what will show above my picture or no picture, right? I didn't know that for a long time. So thinking about it now, it would what would it look like? It would look unprofessional. It would say, "Oh, here I am, ready to start on LinkedIn," and it would just pause, and it wouldn't look great, and it wouldn't grab somebody's attention.
Mhm.
So again, like I'm not one of these. Here's 100 hooks that are guaranteed to. Hooks do play their part alongside a lot of other things, but I didn't know that then, right? So knowing what I know now about the way people consume content, which let's be honest is to skim it and just see what pops out and then comment on it as fast as they can just to make sure they're playing the engagement game. I wasn't going to be doing anything at that point by just chucking three massive paragraphs out there. So what does it look like now? If you looked on my posts, you would see that I'm doing that thing every day. My hooks now are a sentence and a half max, usually with a number in because people like numbers. All right, but they cut off at an appropriate time where I know that it leaves people hanging and wanting a bit more. So people don't teach you that kind of thing at the start, and that's why I'm so passionate about being that guy now that actually steps in and teaches people how to do it. Because, like I say, it was probably 4 months before someone said to me, "Oh, by the way, Phil, do you know that if you just do two sentences, then it'll show up better?" I was like, "What? Why has nobody told me this?"
Self-taught profession. This is also as well, like how you write in just like the one sentence, not you, but just one sentence at a time. That sounds like really obvious, but like one sentence space, like the skimming technique. Is that what you mean? Like,
Yeah, kind of. And I guess that leads into another sort of area where people blank space is like massive white space, blank space. People are always talking about it. And I'm not necessarily saying that I think because formatting gets a bit twisted for me. Some people
yeah,
will be like, just leave some white space. Now I'm a big believer in that. Not so much like I don't count how many, paragraphs I use, but I think part of the reason you mentioned writing earlier, part of the reason that I find it so comfortable over there is because that's how I like to write. Like I like to write short sentences. I like tiny little minor sentences. I like one line paragraphs. Like I like short, simple, punchy writing. And so that for me comes quite naturally. So it's one of those things where when I'm coaching people, actually we talk about writing style and moving words and paragraphs around. But I'm not one of those guys So just to be clear, I'm not the hook guy that says you hooks have to do this, and I'm also not one that will say let's make all your words look like this on the page because that is what people will love. I just mean that we're trained now to like just skim content because ultimately, let's be honest, everyone's playing the engagement game. They may have an interest in that person, right? And they may want to read some of their stuff and take in some top tips, but they're skimming it, right? They're skimming it because they know how engagement works. They know they want to comment on as many posts as possible, fire up the algorithm, etc. And so, yeah, it's about building up the trust. So you trust it. He's smiling. It's about building
Hayley
up
looks
the.
like she's gonna cry. Like,
I know. This is good.
that's
Yeah, this is
true.
good. It's an important conversation to have, right? It's about building up that trust so people want to read the stuff you're putting out there. But you've got to be honest and go, most people are, some of the comments that you might receive on a post,
Don't
you
say
just
that.
think, what? Like, what?
Oh,
Like,
does me in. Like, what's the point? Why? And I
yeah,
know why, but
yeah,
I don't do that, like genuinely. Like, do you know if you get a comment off me, like that's a genuine from the heart. Like,
that's why I don't get
I'll be
many
doing
comments
that.
from Kelly on LinkedIn.
I'm so really grateful for that.
Probably like
Like,
three, I reckon.
should you be doing that? Like, do you do that, Phil?
Which bit? Sorry.
The engagement thing, just
I
for
engage I engage fast because that's what I do because I have a certain window that I spend on LinkedIn and that's my window for the day. Like that's for my own head, that's for my own life. But if you looked at my comments, you would always see that they're comments that have read a post and have meant something when they've replied. And if I'm honest, like that right there is being recognized for that thing was quite an interesting turning point for me on LinkedIn. I'll never forget the gent that wrote it. And the funny thing is that we don't even really speak on there, right? He pops up on my post and gives it a cheeky little thumb up quite a lot. He very rarely comments. He's a marketing guy. And he put a post out there one day that just said, just want to give a massive shout out to this guy, Phil Shorland. We've never spoke, but I'm seeing him everywhere, commenting on people's stuff with actual real words, with fun, with emojis, with being himself, with elongated words, right? And yeah, it was a really nice moment, but it was more than that. It was a moment where you go, oh, okay, so actually people notice you, right? People notice you, well, A, when you're in lots of places on social media, but also when you're actually saying nice things, fun things.
yeah.
And so the whole concept of like using LinkedIn like a human, well, that's a massive part of it, right? That's like if the whole point is to be remembered, and that's what people are saying, right? That's what people will post. You'll read it 20 times in one day. You've got to be remembered. You'll be forgotten tomorrow. Well, then surely you've got to be yourself doing it. And it was funny because I swear before that time, I'd probably been quite what's the word? I'd probably been quite irregular with like specifically emojis. I'm not a massive emoji guy. Like I don't do it in my messages. I don't particularly do it on social media a lot. But I do it when the time calls. Like if someone's super nice to me, then they're getting one of these, or they're getting an actual official great big red heart, or some nice smiley glasses. Like I never used to do that. And I guess that ties into like one of the biggest myths of all, right? That LinkedIn is the professional platform. Um, I spent a lot of time talking about that particular myth. But yeah, when I loosened up and started just talking like me, people noticed, and then there was this lovely chain reaction from there. Like I could pinpoint it. It's not very often I think you can do that in business or like especially social media. But if I could go back to one day and this awesome fact that he's still not a guy that I really speak to, I love that about it. I love that part of the story. That would be the moment where I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm doing the right thing here. I'm onto something. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And it's hard, isn't it, sometimes? Like you do post, and I always say to my clients or other business owners I talk to is don't just rely on the fact that like the comments and the engagements, like people are reading and they're not taking action, but like the work is out there, like your words are out there, and that's why that consistency, being yourself, is really important. But I agree with that. I remember starting on LinkedIn. I've always used LinkedIn, but I remember a point around year one of my business where I was like, I just don't really feel myself, because I was doing more marketing tips and being a bit corporate, and then started to bring in a bit more about triathlon, the way that I work, who I am, and like self-development and all of that type of conversation. And I felt a shift instantly. Like, people that I'd met, they would comment on my posts, or they'd remember, they'd recite them back, and I'd be like, I can't even remember writing that one, but it's stuck in people's minds. And so yeah, it's either the words I was saying, or they could just feel that I was being more myself now. So yeah, I do definitely agree with that point.
Oh, 100%, it would have been both. Like,
Yeah.
Like storytelling is like, I
Yeah.
think it became, as every year something else kind of jumps in, it became a bit of a buzzword, I think. And it's one that I was always very conscious of using, because I love telling stories, and I love storytelling, right? And I love doing it for my clients because it's the one thing that they maybe struggle to unlock. And what you just said there is absolutely right. What they would have loved is going, oh right, okay, this is her behind the scenes. This is her doing what she loves. Now, some people who are really cynical will come back to that and go, well, yeah, but that's not telling them about your offer. Like, they're not going to come in and buy anything from you.
It's not Facebook.
Exactly, it's not Facebook. Yeah, another platform I've never used. But I tell you what, every client I've ever worked with, and this is ghostwriting or coaching, everyone I've ever worked with has known something about me, right? I know a lot of people talk about these lurkers that exist on LinkedIn, and they just come in and in your inbound leads, and they make you an amazing offer. Yeah, maybe it's not a big part of my world. The clients I work with, I've made an effort with, they've made an effort with me, and the trust is there, and they know something about me, right? It's such a beautiful thing. If I'm on a call with somebody and I go, how did you find me? Like, why did you choose me? And they go, do you know what? That time you were doing that thing and your dogs were like drinking water really loud in the back of that. I'm like, that's really nice. Or they actually say like my kids' names in comments. Like, they've, and that proves that people read. Some people read, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's not a skimmer. When things like that happen, you go, well, that's undeniable power in storytelling. It doesn't mean, and I mean, look, there's an art to it. There's a science to it. It's not just chucking stories out left, right, and centre. I did a post the other day about it being strategic. It isn't something that you just keep throwing out stories, loads of doom and gloom everywhere. It's got to have a balance, right? And that's part of the thing that I bring for my clients.
So when you're telling a story, what is that balance? Like, give us a little 3 things.
Well, I just mean more in like in terms of the balance of, if I'm going to spend, okay, so like every week, right? My posting plan is like personal, business, and social. So that's how I operate, right? I do a personal post, which generally is me storytelling. It's me saying something about me, my life. The second day is business. The third is some social proof, like today, of something that's gone really well in the week, a skill, whatever, and encouraging other people to share those too, right? I mean that more in the balance, in terms of, if I was to share something really, really positive, I kind of balance it out with positive and negatives, right? I feel like I want to take people on a journey with each posting week, and that only happens if you're organised and you've got a plan. So the balance for me comes in the positives and the negative times, and the ups and downs of being a business owner, as opposed to, these are the 3 kind of top storytelling tips to make sure your post is always balanced. I don't really, as I'm hoping I'm giving that vibe, I'm not really a template kind of guy. So that's, for me, is where the balance comes. And for me, that's a simple thing to do. Like, you talked about your triathlon stuff. If I was talking to you about getting some stories out there, I'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, tell me about something that you really smashed. You tell me about it. And I'd be like, yeah, but give me something that maybe wasn't so, and we just balance that out. So people are just getting drip fed, just over time, because it's the long game, right? They're just getting drip fed that time where it's awesome, but the time where it's just a bit trickier too. And that's kind of how I operate.
Nice. Me and Hayley are like,
Because I'm totally with you. It has to be
Yeah.
human. It has to be genuine. It has to be authentic. It doesn't always have to be sunshine and rainbows, and it doesn't have to be doom and gloom. But it has to be real. And I think that's what people tend to forget with LinkedIn, and they feel they have to post something for the sake of posting. And it's something I always say to clients: if you've got nothing good to say or nothing, what's the word? Constructive to put out there, don't do it. Comment or at least be involved and keep front of mind. But you see, or I see a lot of people using their personal profiles purely for selling or purely to sell in a product or a service, and it's like, actually focus on you and the person behind the product and the service and your experience and your knowledge, or just you and your character, because people buy from people. And I think people tend to forget this. And I think there's an importance to use social media strategically for the benefits of what you do, or the value that you bring your customers from what you offer. But that balance then of that, coupled with who you are as a person, especially if you're a small business owner or a freelancer, really matters, and it's really important. But yeah, I think people lose that a little bit with the engagement game and the algorithm, and
Yeah, and it's the same in the DMs as well. Like that's cold is never going to work. Like I read something, I think it was yesterday on there, and I love this. And it was that I don't go on LinkedIn like with my debit card on me. Like I'm not just sat there like ready to buy off anything that rocks up. It's like anything in life. Like how often does that happen? Like for me, hardly ever. And that's perfect. Like you will never, catch me now probably even replying to those kind of things where people just jump in with something like, I'm just a human. Like I want some warmth. Like I want some build up. If you've never even been anywhere near my profile, you've never been near my posts, we've never even spoken. There's no way that I'm just going to invest in something on the internet. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, in that respect, for me, like that human element is that's massive. Like I'm never buying. I'm never buying if you've not shown me some warmth.
Yeah. And what do you say to people then, where they say like, but how much do I share about me? Like the boundary level that people have. Like I'm quite transparent about like who I am, what I do, the ups and downs. And well, I'm happy to share that. Like that doesn't bother me. But I know some people wouldn't. Like some people don't want to talk about their children on social media, or what they do in their personal life, or what's happening at the weekend. They just want to keep it quite contained. You can still work through the depth of you within that though, can't you? And being, like the term, a thought leader in the space in your industry, and moving through topics that aren't just so concentrated on one thing. Does that make sense?
It does, and the thing that's in my head is the answer that I would often say to something like that, and it's like that only works when you have the organization, right? It only truly works when you've got a plan in your head, and
Okay.
and part of it only really works when you've. I'm not saying you have to be a writer or a skilled writer to do it, but look, a lot of that balance, and it answers the previous question a bit as well. A lot of, because there is overlap, sometimes it's personal, sometimes it's business, sometimes it's social proof. And I want people to have that because I want them to have structure, because it saves them burning out, because I've been there where I've burnt out, right? But I think you can only do that and have the ups and downs and the right level, if there is a right level, with organization and planning ahead. And I think, sometimes I'm not here just to sell writers or whatever, but it is true. Like there's an art to it, there's a skill to it. And, yes, sometimes it will start with, me on a call like this and just getting an AI transcriber on and going, and it's asking the right questions, isn't it? That's part of it as well. Like if you can't, sometimes you can't ask yourself the right questions because it's too hard. Like, and you will naturally not ask yourself the questions that need asking. You get someone like me or yourselves on a call, and you just sit there and go, why? And all of a sudden, people are going, whoa, okay, now it's getting a bit emotional. Like now I need to delve a bit deeper. And then you get them again and go, yeah, but why? And that's where you start getting some of the good stuff, right?
Well, yeah.
We've always got our guard up, haven't we, when it's our own stuff. And we can say that we put stuff out there. I could tell you that I put my kind of biggest losses out there. I won't have. Because it's not something that we do. It's like, and yes, there's an argument that, well, should you ever really do that? Like, it depends what it is, I think. It's all context, right? And I think it's all part of your journey as well. It depends where you're at. I think if you've got some momentum, you've got some community, then it changes the game completely because you then have faith. You have confidence in yourself to put it out there because you know people are going to be there to read it and actually take it on board and get back to you. And I think that counts for a lot. Like when you're sharing the real stuff, like of course people get put off. Like if there's nothing coming back and there's no comments, there's no likes, there's no engagement, there's no impressions, then people are going to get put off. Yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my honest thoughts on it.
Yeah, I was saying to someone yesterday, they were like, like, how are you just so consistent and like confident in, like, you don't think about it, you just post. And I said, like, there's definitely times when I've deleted posts, I've scheduled them and then I've deleted them because I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? Not that they were wild or anything, but I just started to feel uncomfortable about what I was putting out there, or I'll amend them. But mine's purely come from like I will question myself. I can say like, why are you saying this? What's the purpose behind it? Because of like a whole load of self-development work and like knowing who you are and what you stand for and what you believe in, and just having a bit more confidence about that as well. There's definitely times when that's on the floor, but like you have to work yourself in the way that you would work a client as well when you're doing it by yourself and you haven't got somebody like us to help you do it at the same time. For sure. Shall we go through some myths?
It's myth bust. Let's do it.
Go first, Hayley.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to go there. The big one is the posting within 24 hours. It's a thing, right? It's talked about a lot, and a repost counts as a post. And I have clients, and I've done it myself, where if I post 2-3 times within 24 hours, the impressions, the engagement goes to crap because LinkedIn is pushing down the other posts because I've posted too much. Is it something you have seen personally? Is it something that you've got a take on it? You know, what's your view?
I've never done it personally. I'm a one post a day guy, 6 days a week, but I do know at least 5 other people in my community that post, well, both actually, some that post multiple times a day and some that repost their morning post again about midday. So they might post, yeah, let's start with those guys, right? So they will post similar time to me, so sort of 6:30 a.m. And I think the question that I have for you in that is, which for me is the fundamental question with everything LinkedIn, is the engagement window there? I know I've not really talked about the engagement window yet, but for me, Kelly's already getting a bit riled, but this is it doesn't work without it, right? So that's my personal findings on the platform. Although there is a little asterisk there for, I think, when you've built to a certain level, but I'll start with if you were kind of getting started, right? So the people that I know that repost, they are all at a very good level. So I guess I'm going good level on, they've got a good following, they've got a good community. By good, let's just put it out there, I'm talking like they get over 100 comments a day, they get over 100 likes a day, and they get them as I do now fairly quickly. So because of the engagement window, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen their and I've asked them, like, does reposting 6 hours later have a positive effect, right? And I'm only talking maybe 5 people, but they will say to me that they don't get the same level as in 100 plus comments and likes, but nor do they spend much time on there. So what seems to be the thing that, again, I've never tried, is that they repost it and then they maybe add their own pinned comment to it, and they then stay on for maybe 15 minutes to just do a little bit of engagement again to kind of fire up the algorithm, right? So that's those guys, right? And I said to them, yeah, is it doing anything? And they'll say, look, it's really hard to pinpoint, right? Because some people, obviously, it's really lovely when some people have notifications. So some people that have commented in the morning, might also see that they've reposted. I might choose to just say something else as well. Is their follower count still really good? Do they get really great engagement? Yes, it is. Would it change the game dramatically if they didn't do it? I don't know. That's the thing, right? That's the thing that we don't quite maybe have the evidence for. So that's one camp. There's those guys. With the others who post multiple times, I only know people that do this when they are smashing LinkedIn. And it is probably linked to a kind of a confidence thing, because and I know this because the person I'm thinking of, I could probably tell you that she doesn't spend any time when she puts that second post out there.
Yeah.
Like, she puts it out there because she's got an awesome following and people just like flock in to comment, right? And having looked at the sort of second post of the day, it still happens that way. And there aren't too many replies there. So that would tell me that the engagement for her is just flowing and firing no matter when she does that. But it is within the same 24 hours. So in answer to that myth, right, I think it comes down to what I said just now. How to phrase this, if you've like earned your stripes, or if you've got your community, if you've been there for a long time, and you know that people have got your back and they'll be there for you when you post stuff out, I think you can do those things, right? And I don't think it will ever be detrimental to your engagement. Impressions are, who knows? Impressions are just an absolute enigma, right? Impressions are all over the place on LinkedIn.
That makes me feel
agreed.
good. Yeah.
They're vanity. You can't.
There was like something that happened a couple of months ago where it was about the same time they took the video tab off. So they put the video icon at the bottom of LinkedIn, right? And everybody, including me, started loving video, putting stuff out there. And then they removed it, probably a month or two later. And something happened at that point. And I know that because it hit me, it hit my impressions, probably half them. It made for difficult conversations with my clients because it halved their impressions. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not doing anything different. It's like, so that definitely changed. But, that's just a quick example of how you can't fully rely on impressions. I think when you're consistent, it's never like this, right? But there is kind of a logic to it. So yeah, short answer there. I think it's not a problem, provided that if you've got a big following, big engagement kind of community going on, I think you can get away with it a couple of times a day. I think you can repost stuff, and I think it won't do you any harm.
So the I'm going to reshare my post 6 hours later camp, I can't buy into that, because I don't like the idea of sharing my own stuff again. It kind of feels a bit too big. But why? It's just, no, stop. But what I do tend to do is similar to you. Like, I have a window for LinkedIn, because otherwise it's like a rabbit hole, right? All day. Like, no, I've got work to do. But what I do tend to do, if I scan and I see posts, I save them, and then I have a window, usually before I'm about to post to my personal profile, or I've got a post that I know I want to put out. I'll spend 15 minutes going through my save posts and making genuine comments because I found them interesting. So I've built up a bit of engagement before I hit my post. And then I know the whole, resharing of your own stuff, that's just weird. But I will use other company accounts that I've got, because I've got different audiences. So at the space of the time where I might go back on for 15 minutes and do a little bit more at the end of the day, I will use my company page, or I might use Measure of Marketing's page, because there are other audiences that will want to see it. And so I try and create the engagement that way, which feels more genuine than just resharing my own stuff again. So, but I do only post once a day, whether it be my company page, on my personal profile. I personally don't even have the following like you may have your clients who can do 2 or 3 times in a day. And equally, I don't have time to do it. I admire the people that might have time to spend more of their day on LinkedIn. But
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I have considered it, particularly at times where I'm not as busy. But I think it's that I feel like I give enough, like at that in that 1 hour of my day, right?
yeah,
Sometimes just over, right? But generally an hour of my day, like I've got that down now to a T, and that's good for me. It's good for my life. It's good for then getting the kids sorted. It just works, right? And so the thought of then going back in and then just trying to fire it up again, like maybe I could go in, fire it up, and I think what you said there that registered was about other people seeing it, and I think that's the only it's one of the things for me that tempts me to it, and it's that obviously with me posting at a certain time of day, I have a very lovely and very reliable community that are always there for me in certain parts of the world, right? Because they're up at that time and that's like their midday. But you can't get away from the fact that those people I know in America and Canada, etc., like those guys aren't coming onto LinkedIn till like 3 p.m. UK time. And so I have thought about it because what I'll do, like 100%, like I say, it's interesting. I've just said like I spend an hour on there, right? But what is it? It's nearly 12 now. So go 2, 3 more hours. I'll log back on because there's going to be guys giving me some love from that part of the world. And I've got a good relationship with those guys. And so I'll end up spending another, I don't know, probably collective half an hour on there. So when people have turned around and said to me, this is why I do it, because I go back on. So I think, well, I might as well just repost mine. And then, if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Then I go, yeah, do you know what? Like we're all trying to grow on here, right? So I understand that logic. I think as long as it's not just another time waster, like I would never go on and spend an hour like on there just basically talking about it. Everyone talks about it at 6 a.m. Yeah.
And that's the balance, isn't it, between using LinkedIn like a human and then using it to grow or to build your personal brand or to roll your company service out. That's the tricky bit.
Yeah.
That's my love hate.
Yeah, and look, I always say, like very openly, I said it yesterday, celebrating like milestones and stuff. The numbers matter to me. Like I'm not someone who says the numbers don't matter. Like it's fine, I'm just showing up to promote my business. Like that's not me. Like the numbers are everything, right? The numbers are my confidence. The numbers have represented like people going, yeah, I like your stuff, and we're going to follow you on the journey. Like I'm not even going into the numbers of money at this point, but for me, the numbers are huge. Like they just reaffirm that this is positive, right? And so I'm someone that doesn't shy away from that. And if there's a way that I can improve that and I can get more people in front of me and I can have more genuine conversations with people and we can enjoy and grow together, then I'm going to do it, right? But not at the expense of another hour on LinkedIn in the afternoon. Like that's the trade-off for
me. Well, I didn't know that you did the engagement window, Hayley. So now I'm going to have to
stick with me, kid.
Just you, Kelly.
I was really like battling Phil. Well, I wasn't really battling, but I was being a bit of Mardy child about it. But only because but I had noticed though, so since Phil and I spoke a few months ago, and Phil was saying the time of day that he posted, I was on this 4:30 a.m. wake up time. So moved my posting time to earlier. And
you weren't there, were you? Like you didn't get up at that time.
Yeah, I did.
Why?
I did for a certain period of time.
It's the middle of the night.
And then I got really tired, so then didn't. But what I did notice was that the people that were commenting on my posts and my connections were changing. Like it started to be different because I was posting at 6 a.m. rather than like 8 or 9. So I did really see my audience slightly change.
Do you know what's completely mind blowing on LinkedIn, right? And every social media. When I post for a client and we go for a good old traditional 9 o'clock or 8:45, like it's a different world. It's a different space on there. Like people are talking about completely different things. It's like within certain windows of the day, it shifts. And then gradually, if there was an argument for the professional platform, right, that's it. It's in that window. All of a sudden, like the type of content I see at that time period is, and I know this is like tied into the people, whoever they're following, etc., but it's so different, so different. And then if you post for somebody else later on in the day or like early evening, it chills out again. It's very weird to do it. So it doesn't surprise me that you would experience like something different with different faces and different kind of vibe at that time of the day, as opposed to maybe if you post a bit later.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's worth thinking about what your post content is and when it's going to be more likely to be received based on those windows of people that are on that might,
Yeah. I think I'm going to test it. I think I'm going to test mine again throughout like the summer, like for a few months. And
get up at 2 a.m. Try it then. Yeah, get up at 3.
My post will be wild. But yeah, I might move it till later. And I think it's like, for me, it's like lifestyle. Like first thing in the morning, I'm just like functioning. So to have an engagement window then it just doesn't feel right, because then I'm either training some days or like doing something else.
Yeah, so it has to fit. It has to fit. It's got to fit it's got to fit your world. Like
I've not quite found that yet, I don't think.
Yeah,
as well. So
but then you get to a point where I am now where I'll be too scared to change it. Like it's going.
It works.
Yeah. It's going. Yeah, it works. It works, and it's going good. And it's like, the kids are getting older now. Like, I could do this a bit later, but I don't want to, because it's routine. And like I said way back at the start, like I'm pretty obsessive with stuff like this, right? So.
Oh yeah, you can tell.
The disms, yeah, they're there. Yeah.
That alarm's going off at 5:30. The dogs are going out at 5:45, and I'm engaging. I'm warming up the algorithm at 6:15. Like that's just life. But then I'm a morning person. I'm good in the mornings. Like I enjoy my mornings, and I think as well I need that. I like that quiet time. I like that just me time before everything else kicks off in the house. Like that for me it's good time to get it done and dusted.
Yeah, for sure. I'm conscious of time, but I feel like we could continue this conversation for a long time.
Should do a part 2.
We can do a part 2, can't we?
It could be one dedicated to Mythbusters, so people could actually send in the myths, and we can literally bat them to Phil, and he can bust or I don't know what the other word would be, but
we'll do that. We've got Phil and I are doing a LinkedIn workshop in Derby City on the 19th of June. So I'm going to throw out to the audience, the people that are attending that so far, if they have any particular myths, or so we can weave that into part 2 as well and bring that up. But thank you, Phil. That was such a good conversation. And I really feel like I like the honesty between numbers. Like it's okay to have that balance between it all. Like, numbers are important. You want something to track if that's your thing, like finding the lifestyle, but then like the genuineness around people and the plan, and just all of it feels very genuine. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Also, just going to find my engagement time. I'll keep posting. It's not going to be 6 a.m. anymore, so
the next couple of weeks, Kelly's going to be knackered just getting up at the hour with the crack of arse just to try and find her engagement window.
I have been up at the crack of arse, and I have commented on Phil's post, and he's been like, "Here she is, she is awake." I'm not a good morning person. I'm just not. So you don't want to receive any comments off me at that time. So they are even more like precious if I have commented at that time, Phil.
I appreciate the 3 I've received. I appreciate it.
Fabulous. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope it was really helpful. Please follow Phil over on LinkedIn, get his numbers up. It'll make him feel really good. But yeah, just listen and watch his content. It's really helpful, and yeah, genuine guy, really lovely to have in your life. So we will see you on the next episode. Thanks everyone.
Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Bye.